All right, welcome back. 728. We are on the air still covering this. Lake effect snow warnings. This is because of what's developing over the next few hours. Winter weather advisories essentially for everybody, though. In the area here, you're seeing the farther inland, not as big of an impact from snow, but check it out. It's more of an impact, more widespread than what we were dealing with. And I can't stop showing you guys this right here, 271, 480. I think this 271, goes this way, and 480 comes along here. This is where they kind of split, the split there, or the merge, depending on which way you're going. But the merge to south is still slow, and this is the bridge. This has been, I mean, it looks like a sheet of ice. We've had cars make it through. We've also had cars piling up there along the guardrail there, along the concrete wall. This is an issue, huge issue. So if you're heading anywhere this morning, give it some time because things will improve. But with the wind out there, even though, as I was telling you yesterday morning, the forecast has only been for a couple inches, a trace to 2, maybe 3 inches with a clipper. That's general. That's the rule with those. You throw in some lake effect afterwards, and that's where we start talking about the lake effect warning, in some spots getting another 6 inches on top of that, maximum 8, 9, 10 inches. That was yesterday's forecast, and that is still on target for this morning. Waking up on the heels of that clipper with a couple inches of snow, but 40, 45 mile per hour winds. That's the impact. Near blizzard conditions. Doesn't matter how much snow you have. With winds over 35 miles per hour, that visibility is going to be dropping down to less than a quarter mile, and that's when we start talking about the blizzard criteria. No blizzard warnings out there right now. It has to last 3 hours. Either way, don't worry about that. The impacts are still here. Don't worry about this and that, the criteria between warnings. I want you to know that we've got some incredibly terrible and dangerous roads outside right now. Temperatures are all in the low 20s. Winds are all gusting over 35 to 45, maybe even as high as 50 miles per hour for the next few hours. So we've got the wind, I've got the snow, we've got wind chills in the single digits. Even inland where you're not dealing with the snow really, you've still got some big wind. The biggest wind, the strongest wind is going to be Ashtabula to Cleveland and then tapering off inland. Now watch what happens as we get into this afternoon. Right now it's mainly a west wind, but it'll pick up a little more out of the northwest, and this is when we'll start to see a couple of those squalls set up. Big ones setting up off of Lake Huron going toward Erie, Conneaut, maybe near Ashtabula, but we should have enough of a push to keep it mostly out of Ohio. But blizzard warnings in effect for Erie, and that actually, in addition to what they're talking about from additional snowfall, the National Weather Service just got clarification. They're talking about the snowpack, how heavy, how wet, and how big the snowpack is for Erie, PA, damaging structures. When you're talking about the wind, the weight, that's what that blizzard warning for them is really for, in addition to the additional snowfall, but huge impacts. Winds die down tonight. They'll still be out of the northwest, so I don't think it just shuts down tonight. I think it's going to be a process, but through tomorrow, west winds take over. Still gusty, not as windy as today, but still gusty, and that's going to push that lake effect snow out of here and should eventually warm us up as we get through the weekend. Now, here we go. 20s outside right now. It is cold, temperatures everywhere, so any bridges that are elevated will be icy. If it looks wet, treat it like ice. I've been showing you that bridge, 271, 480. It's been rough for a couple hours now. Wind chills in the single digits. Even if you're not dealing with slick roads or more snow, it's windy and it's cold outside. Here's your radar. Here's the snow. This is it. This is all that's left. We had a widespread clipper roll through. This is a little bit of lake enhancement on the back side of it. I can zoom in on it right here, show you where we are, show you what I'm tracking. It's not necessarily something that's going to be like in squalls where you see those heavy bands of 2 inch per hour. This is about a ½ an inch per hour snowfall, so it's not the heaviest, but it's just getting ripped and whipped by the wind out there. So anywhere from Conneaut, Ashtabula, our state line, all the way through like Brecksville, that's where we're dealing with some pretty good snowfall. Even on the west side a little bit. Westlake, we've had some accidents. Caitlin was telling us about near Nagle, in Lorain County, near Avon, all the way down through Richfield. There's Hudson, some pretty good snowfall. Caitlin's been driving on this route right here, and that has just been nailed with the icy bridge right there. You've got other areas that are going to be slick as well. Any of those roads that are elevated and kind of banked, yikes. Here's your future cast. Let's walk you through what's going on throughout the day today. The main snow, here it is. That's it. The models have been spot on with this. So I'm going to run with this also. Runs out of here by around 9 or 10 o'clock. By noon, those winds, like I've been telling you, are going to start to shift directions. It's west, gusting to 46, 50 miles per hour at times. Should start to shift. You see how it goes west-northwest, still strong? That's when that lake effect starts to crank up. This is that Erie, PA, that fetch coming off of Lake Huron. That's going to be a big one. These aren't nearly as big or as intense, but they're still going to be impactful. We're still going to have to dodge some lake effect snow throughout the rest of the day. Late afternoon, early evening, those set up, and where those squalls hang out, that's where I'm talking about maybe another 2, 4, maybe 6, if it hangs around enough inches on top of what's already on the ground this morning. Things should settle down like we showed you earlier. The winds turn directions, change around, and get on out of here. Model's really dumping some snow with that big one right there. Putting about 2 to 3 across the area, but we've seen it. We know where those squalls persist. We could easily double that. So 4 to 6, totally doable. Things should shut down tomorrow and warm up this weekend. We'll get to that in more detail, but right now I want to get you out the door. Mike Holden, he's been out brave in the wind and the cold and the visibility. And man, I got to give you big props. You've been doing a great job this morning. Hopefully you're staying warm, but what do you have for us?
Thank you, I appreciate it. You've been doing a great job too. Kudos to photojournalist Dave Kraska, everybody who's out there in the elements. To the drivers, the walkers, the commuters, it is absolutely brutal right here along 271 northbound. We're standing in a parking lot of Beechwood Dental, which is by the Porsche dealership, and you can see that traffic is crawling towards us. I'd say at this point, a little after 7:30 this morning, folks are doing maybe 30 miles per hour, but you can see with these live images, these cars aren't going anywhere too fast, and you can't even make out the lanes on the highway. In some instances, it's kind of just drivers freestyling, following the lights in front of them. Some of these drivers honking repeatedly to indicate that they're in front of people or behind them. And perhaps the worst point this morning was right around 6:45 when we spotted a school bus that was just sliding and sliding in the middle of the highway. Thankfully, they were able to get out of this area. But it is the wind, it is the snow, it is the drifting snow. We're going to go on a short walk this way. This is again in the parking lot of Beechwood Dental. And when I say whiteout conditions, I mean I can't see more than 10, 15 feet in front of me. Not a crazy amount of snow on the ground, maybe 1-2 inches, but it's these who have been really going hard to work this morning as they continue to plow these parking lots for businesses like this neighboring Bob Evans, as well as the Porsche dealership steps away. And as you can see, as Dave Kraska continues to move in, with those lights, it is very hard to make out anything in front of you because it has been this constant blowing and drifting snow. For folks that are just waking up this morning, Bryn said it best maybe 40 minutes ago. If you can, stay at home. If you can work from home, even better. Let's go towards this highway really quick, Dave, because it looks like this car is really struggling trying to get over here. I've got very good boots on too. I'll use this railing just to get my balance. But you can see these cars with a live look right now crawling towards the exit ramp of 271 northbound here in Beechwood. 271 southbound. Looks like traffic is moving even slower over there. So we will continue to monitor this situation, layer up. You're going to need a lot of them, especially if you're going to be out here this morning. In the meantime, I want to send it over to my colleague, Bryn Caswell, who has a big traffic alert for everybody in downtown Cleveland. What are you experiencing over there, Bryn?
Hey there, Mike. So the Cleveland Police Department recently tweeted out just minutes ago that they are aware that multiple traffic lights downtown are completely out. They're asking drivers this morning to take it slow and treat these intersections just like a four-way stop. Right now I'm at the intersection of East 9th and Prospect. You just heard a couple horns going off. Drivers, please take it slow. Again, like I said, Cleveland Police are asking people to treat it as a four-way stop. And they did say, Cleveland Police said they have alerted power crews and they are going to be, out here trying to restore the power. You can see there's a cruiser right there that just arrived here at this intersection to maybe get things under control a little bit. But it is windy downtown right now. I mean, it is like a wind tunnel getting caught down here. I have to brace myself so I don't blow over here. I want to give you guys a look at some of these flags over here. We're right in front of the Cuyahoga County Administration building, and just look how windy it is. It is wild out here. I cannot remember the last time I was in winter conditions like this. And the roads, like I said, it's very, very slick. I've been telling people all morning, if you have the opportunity to stay home and work from home today, take it. just do it. Who doesn't like working from home every once in a while? The roads are bad. And I'm going to send things over to my colleague, Caitlin Hunt. Caitlin, you've been out in the traffic tracker all morning long. Where are you at right now? The roads are dangerous and you've seen a couple of accidents.
Yeah, that's for sure, Bryn. We just hopped on 77 here, got off the turnpike. We're in the Independence area. Here's your look here. It does not look like a snowplow has been through here recently. As we've been, reiterating, this morning, we're just following, the tracks of the cars who have been here before us, those pioneers who dared out to go out in the snow this morning, and we're taking it really slow. One thing I have been noticing as well this morning, Bryn, you've been telling people, stay at home, work from home if you can, but there's still a lot of people out on the roads here this morning. We're in a cluster right now as well. You see the sign here, the speed limit is 60 miles per hour. We're going 30 miles per hour. So again, we're one of those people taking that advice of going slow. As you can see on the roads here, there's still a lot of snow, pushed off to the side, but that wind is blowing it into the middle of the road, creating some slushy conditions. The snow's in the road, and we haven't slid on this road, but earlier in the morning we were sliding, trying to pass those lanes, move over to a different lane, especially on 271 where Mike Holden is as well. I would say visibility is getting a little bit better now that the sun's coming up. We're getting some light as well. It's not as dark, so we can actually see things. But again, you want to take it slow. I'm also seeing, on these exit ramps, these on ramps, just covered in snow. And so it's just there. It's all over the place. Also, what I'm seeing, if we head over to my maps, just a lot of accidents, unfortunately, this morning. If you see at my map right now, it's just lighting up with those accident icons. And especially on the east side of Cleveland, you can see just a lot of yellow, a lot of red, hardly any green this morning. And that yellow and red indicates that everyone is taking it slow. And also that there's a lot of backups. So if you're headed out the door this morning, you want to add that into your time, into your commute time. It's going to take you a while to get into basically anywhere you're going, especially if it's along those routes. We'll do a quick roundup here of accidents because some are clearing up, which is some good news, but some things that have popped up since I last spoke with everyone. There was an accident on I-90 eastbound, kind of near Noble, near that area. You can see the red lines right there causing a bit of a backup there. Working to get some more information as well on what was going on there as well. Once again, that accident on I-271 northbound is still popping up too. Also having an accident pop up nearby on I-480 near Lee Road too. You can see there's a big red line there. Could be a slowdown. Trying to find some ODOT cameras, but a lot of the ODOT cameras are covered in snow, so it's hard to get a look of what exactly is happening along some of these roads here. And still, there's that accident in the right lane. It's blocked on Wheatley Road, that exit near heading westbound on 77 as well. But overall, some accidents are clearing up. I think I also mentioned that on I-76 near the Jennings, looks like a car had spun out on the side of the road. Looks like that was cleared. Looks like that guy got some help this morning, which is great. Also, there's a lot more accidents happening this morning than what is appearing on my radar. As we've mentioned, I've seen semis jackknife into the medians, people sliding off on the roads. So there's a lot more happening, and overall, like we've all been saying this morning, your best bet this morning is you're going to want to take it slow this morning if you absolutely have to get out of the roads. If you don't, like Bryn's been saying this morning, stay at home, work from home, get you some hot chocolate, some coffee, stay warm, because it is definitely messy out here. Trent?
Yeah, thanks a lot. Good information. 7:42 right now, and this is one of the reasons why we're covering up Good Morning America, why we're staying on the air, because we want to let you know about situations like this. I'm seeing a couple cars try to sneak through every once in a while. It just looks like a sheet of ice. This is 270 or 480 rather, when it splits off from 271. 271 goes northbound right here up onto the east side. This cuts over and heads toward like 77. So anybody coming north on that 480, 270, 271 area that kind of runs together right before the split, it's going to be a parking lot. 271 is moving, but moving slowly. 271 northbound. Looks like 271 southbound is doing all right. 480 southbound as it rolls in and merges with 271. That's looking okay, but I mean, you're seeing it right here. Cars are trying to weave around cars and try to weave through areas. Looks like we've had some cars that are kind of against the wall here, but they're getting it through on the far right lane there.
Ashtabula, level 3.
Ashtabula County, level 3 road emergency. That means nobody on the streets unless it's an absolute emergency or unless you're an emergency responder. level 3 for Ashtabula County. Thanks a lot, Mike Brookbank, for getting us that information. We've got the whole newsroom going around, getting information, getting reports and everything, and we're actually going to talk to a spokesperson from ODOT coming up in about 7 minutes here, so stay tuned for that. But man, just wild to see an interstate bridge like that is just shut. I mean, it's a sheet of ice. It's not technically shut down, but it is borderline impassable. Cars are just barely. It's at a bank. That road is banked, so that's why they're having the issues with there. All right, so bear with me. I'm going to roll around a couple other cameras. Here's 90 at 271. Let's see if we can show you some of this. This is 271 a little bit farther to the north. Similar situations, not as bad, but you can see this banked road here. Be easy on these turns. Man, rough to watch some of these cars try to roll through here. Looks like they're doing all right, though, with that left-hand turn there on 90. That's 90, I think that's eastbound, where 271 goes to the south there. So it's definitely an issue. 90 at 91, so a little bit farther east, essentially, from there. Looks like that camera's trying to move around just a little bit. Off ramps, on ramps. The problem is these plows get out. We told you earlier there's over 900 plows out on Ohio roads, but the wind just blows it right back on. The visibility is terrible, and especially these bridges, like the ground is warm enough in most spots, but the bridges are lofted up into that 20-degree air, and that's where you're having those issues. That's 271 at Cedar. Here's 271. Man, the roads just look, I mean, they've been plowed, but they look untouched. This is at Chagrin, so 422 at Chagrin. Just a sheet of ice. Let's go 480 to like Lancaster. Not bad. Not bad at all. Here's Transportation Boulevard. Man, watch that bridge, that Valley View Bridge there. That could be slick, extremely slick. Like I said, most of the roads have been warm enough to where things are going to be melting, but definitely something to keep a very, very close eye on. Well, let's go on the Jennings at Spring Road. That's not a current camera. That's not a current camera. Neither is that. Let's go to another one. Here we go. Here's 77 at Walling. So up on those off ramps. Looks like 77 is very slow off into the distance. Go 77 at Hillside. Man, just a very slow morning. Let's go a little bit farther south, 77 at 82. So this is Brecksville. Looks like it's okay. It's been plowed, but that snow has tapered off for those areas. Let's go on the east side. Here's 90 at Vrooman. 90 at State Route 44. Just got to watch those snow-covered roads, watch changing lanes, watch what's going on. 480 at Tiedemann looks okay. Here's 90 at Ravenna Road, so we're going out farther to the east. Let's go farther. Let's see if we can get on out to Ashtabula County. We were talking about the level 3 emergency. Doesn't look bad on the interstates, but those city streets might be pretty rough. All right, let's jump over. Let me show you some. Here's Storm Tracker really quickly. Mike Holden's getting ready for us to go to him. Mike Holden, we're coming to you in a minute. Stand by. I want to show you really quickly. I'm going to update this and show you the closings and delays. 256 closures on news5cleveland.com. I mean, the full list there. I mean, just it stretches. I saw Hudson City Schools in there, Summit County, all the way up through down through Tuscarawas County. Delayed 2 hours. Indian Valley. Good luck this weekend. State championships, football team. Running back's a stud. Let's go. All right, Menor looking outside. I want to walk you through this real quick in Menor. I do have, if I can pop this up really quickly, I have a time lapse of what it looked like essentially earlier this morning. It wasn't bad until that burst rolled in. Let me see if I can load this up for us really quickly and show you the time lapse of Menor where the visibility was fine before the sun came up, and then boom, wind just blew that snow right onto that camera lens, and that's where you have those. That's what we're driving into. 40, 45 mile per hour winds, dropping those visibility numbers. Let's get to it. Let's walk through it. Here's Cleveland, Akron, Mansfield, Worcester. Temperature near 20 to 25 degrees. Winds gusting 35 to 45. Wind chills 5 to 10 degrees. You got a 12-degree wind chill right now in Cleveland. Big wind, big snow. The wind this afternoon shifts more out of the northwest, so that's going to support some lake effect snow, not the widespread stuff, but a couple squalls, a couple little bands of snow trying to come off. The biggest wind impact is going to be Erie, PA, over to about Conneaut, where the strongest winds may be gusting as high as 50, 55 possible coming off the lake. big time stuff, big time snow on the weight from that on structures. Already hearing some stuff in Erie that's just been terrible. We've seen it in Ashtabula as well. Good news, winds relax. It's still enough wind for lake effect, but it's not enough wind for like damage like what we're dealing with this morning. And then tomorrow they shift more out of the west, southwest, pushes it all out of here, and we should have a nice little break. Here's your visibility numbers. Man, blowing snow, not from fog, from blowing snow. Just incredible. Temps, like I said, are in the low and mid 20s. Wind chills, single digits, almost below zero in some spots. You got some 4s across Ashland and Medina. Here's the snow. I showed you earlier that this is going to start to kind of break up a little bit, and I'm starting to get some good indications that it should start to do that, but it's just briefly, because in a few hours we're going to start to see some of those squalls setting up over the lake, and that's where we'll start to get in on those lake effect warnings and the additional snowfall. All right, so Mike Holden, he's out. Let's go to you, man. What do you have for us? You look like you are feeling the brunt of it.
Oh my gosh, Trent, it feels like I am in the middle of a snow globe and someone is just violently shaking it and then has a leaf blower right up to my face. It is the wind that is making it so terrible to be out here in these conditions. And you can see it. I mean, it is literally coming at us sideways. I've got my knees bent. I've got on my good boots. So does photojournalist Dave Kraska, who's up on a tripod. But we're standing just off of 271 northbound in the parking lot of Beechwood Dental, steps away from the Porsche dealership and Bahama Breeze, and it is whiteout conditions. I can barely see in front of me or behind me. That wind continues to kick up. Now, way off in the distance, Dave is actually giving you a live look of 271 northbound, and those cars are moving probably at like 35, 40 miles per hour. It seems like they're moving at a much faster pace than they were before, but it is still brutal out there. You can't make out where any of the lanes are. A lot of these drivers continue to honk at one another to give them the indication of I'm either right in front of you or I'm right behind you. And many of them are driving with their hazards on because it is just bitterly cold, whiteout conditions to the point where you can't see more than 5 to 10 feet in front of you. Now, I do have to say there's 970 ODOT crews statewide working to clear these roads. Then you have the private plow companies that are working to clear these business lots. But it's definitely been a nightmare situation for a lot of folks. And as we give you a live look, Dave, I'm going to step in front of your camera. Let's go to the right if possible. We'll go this way. Yeah, that looks good right there. And I just want to show these cars that are going extra slow trying to get off of here and then towards the exit ramp. But just beyond that point too, you can see more plows right there. Now, whiteout conditions, we say it over and over again. Give yourself some extra time. If you don't have to go out, please don't do so. Again, if you are in those larger vehicles, the school buses, very scary, treacherous conditions for a lot of folks. And if you have to wait at the bus stop or you're walking to work this morning, you're going to want to attach several layers because the winds are no joke out here. The temperature seems to be dropping, but I know for sure the wind is definitely causing major impacts as well. In the meantime, I'm going to step back in frame as we will continue to monitor these conditions in Beechwood as the winds continue to whip. I want to send it over to my colleague, Caitlin Hunt, who is also tracking these changing conditions. Caitlin, where are you at right now?
We're on the Jennings right now, Mike, and let me tell you, it is so much better, so much more of an improvement of what we've been seeing pretty much all this morning. As you can see, visibility is great. We can see the cars ahead of us. We don't have any snow blowing in our way as well, but the roads, they're still slushy. You still see that bit of snow off on the left shoulder here, and people are still driving slow and taking it slow, as they should be doing, because there's still some accidents that are popping up this morning as well. Let's head over to my map here. You can see, as I've been saying, that east side 271 just lighting up red and yellow, just a lot of slowdowns as well. But we're still seeing some slowdowns over on 90. There was an accident on 90 East on the west side of Cleveland near Marginal Drive here. Let's see, I had an ODOT camera in the area. Looks like traffic is moving, but for a bit there was the lanes were blocked and it was a parking lot. People were stopped, but still, that's going to impact your drive in this morning. As you can see, the roads over there, they look pretty clean, maybe just a little bit of slush on the roads, but for the most part, people are able to go to the speed limit and, just drive carefully this morning, especially wherever you're headed. I think that's the best piece of advice that we can give, because it looks like there's just been a dusting of snow in, the good part of the region here. Something else we want to bring up is you're traveling just through, your towns and things like that. Just be aware of a parking ban. We just got in that there was a parking snow ban issued in Newburgh Heights. So that means you got to get your vehicles out of the road, folks, if you're in that area as well. Park them in a driveway, find somewhere else to park them at, find a garage, just so that the snow plows can get through and clear the roads as well. If we throw it back to my camera here, we can show that there's a bit of a slowdown here going on right now as we continue on the Jennings as well. But people for the most part are out and about. I do have to say I've been seeing a lot of traffic this morning. I know we've been talking about, hey, if you can stay at home, stay at home. But it looks like a lot of people are still daring to get out on the roads here, either if they have to go to work or have appointments and things like that. So the roads are definitely busy. If you are driving, make sure you give people plenty of space, kind of like how we're doing as well. Because if you do hit a slick spot and you're just, tailing someone, you're going to run right into them, and you could hurt a lot of people, have a big collision happen as well. So give people space. Again, drive slow this morning. There could definitely be some slick spots, and just be careful, guys. There's a lot going on no matter where you're driving this morning. Trent?
Yeah, thanks a lot, Caitlin. Good job out there. Stay safe. Be careful. It's almost impossible for ODOT to keep these roads clean with those roads, winds gusting 40, 45, maybe 50 miles per hour. So we've got ODOT spokesperson. We've got Amanda McFarland here with us this morning. You guys had your hands full this morning.
Yes, certainly have. With those high winds, it really just makes it very difficult for our crews to keep the snow at bay and off the roadways, because every time they push it off, it blows right back on.
Yeah, it's been terrible. Plus, you've got these bridges and overpasses. We've got a shot up right now. This is from one of the ODOT cameras of like the 271, 480 split. Any of these roads that have been elevated, they're up into that 20-degree air, and I mean, they just turn into a sheet of ice. I mean, do you know about like how much salt works with these temperatures?
When the pavement temperatures get that cold, we do put additives in the salt that help aid in the de-icing process that work at lower temperatures, because we know, as you mentioned, that those areas, the ramps, bridges, and overpasses, they do tend to get much, much colder than the ground surface roads. And so we have to treat them a little bit differently in order to keep them free of the icy and slippery conditions.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, we just saw a plow roll through that bridge. We've been watching it all morning. It just looks like a skating rink, but it looks a little bit better now. Do you know about how many? I mean, don't mean to put you on the spot right now, but do you know about how many plows are out?
Yeah, there are well over 200 plows out in Northeast Ohio right now, and they're going to continue working around the clock. They began their 12-hour shifts overnight, so we'll get some fresh eyes coming on here between the 10 and noon hours in Northeast Ohio, and then those crews are expected to continue to work through the night as well. As you've mentioned, this lake effect snow is going to stick around for a little bit longer, so not just this morning's commute.
Yeah, right. We should get a little break here around midday as far as snowfall is concerned, and then it should pick right back up. And speaking of that, thank you guys so much. Thank you for getting up early this morning and talking with us. I'm gonna give you a quick forecast here over the next couple of minutes, and we're gonna dive into this, and then we're gonna take a quick little commercial break. But in the meantime, Amanda, thank you so much for joining us this morning. All right, let's get to it. Let's show you the maps real quickly. I'm going to show you this ODOT camera. We'll walk you through it. This is what we've been talking about. A plow did roll through, so it looks like it pushed a lot of the slush off. But man, alive, there's cars stuck on the right-hand side. So we're just, weaving through some lanes there. So not great. Still, again, over 250 closings and delays. That's on news5cleveland.com. We've got these cameras all over the place. This is Menor looking outside. Camera's just locked up. All right, right now. Temps near 20 degrees. It's snowy. It's not necessarily the heaviest snow right now, but because we have winds that are sustained at about 15 to 25, gusting 35 to 45 miles per hour, you've got those concerns. I'm going to pull up a current wind gust map here and see if we can show you some of the latest numbers with it. Here we go. 43 mile per hour wind gust in Menor, 28 in Akron, 36 in Worcester. These winds are going to stay strong. Not as strong as they are right now, but they're going to stay strong enough to support lake effect, and they're going to start to shift a little more out of the northwest. And that's when I think we're going to have some more concerns locally, not necessarily as widespread. Let me try to walk you through this future cast. Main batch of snow pulls out of here this morning. We get a break, and then as Amanda with ODOT was talking about, that lake effect starts to crank up with those northwest winds that try to support and fuel some more of that lake effect snow machine activity. That's why the lake effect snow warnings are in effect as for what happens later on today. And I think there's going to be some big time snow from Ashtabula to about Erie, PA. It's really going to have some huge impacts locally. I know this right here is only showing 2 to 3, but I wouldn't be surprised if a couple squalls get us up to around maybe 5 or 6. Should get out of here this weekend. Should be much better by next week, but it is wetter. We'll be right back.